Alright, so I want to make a little video talking about what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin here a few nights ago with this kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, who killed 2 people and severely injured another. He's now being charged with first-degree murder. I want to talk about what happened because I think it's important to talk about this from the perspective of being non-political and non-biased. Obviously, that situation is very biased in and of itself. You've got groups of people who were there protesting and looting and rioting in the name of, Jacob Blake and what happened there, being spurred by organizations like BLM, and then you have the other side, which are these militias that are, from everything we can tell, more along the lines of the, Back the Blue, Blue Lives Matter, that kind of thing. From what we know anyway, most of those people there that showed up to protect those businesses that were associated with this militia that I still haven't found a name for yet, would be obviously on a different side of this political, social, civil unrest situation that we had there. So politically, socially, there are 2 sides, and depending on where you fall in the whole BLM versus cops thing, or Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter, or where you fall on the Jacob Blake shooting or whatever, a lot of people are just going to instantly pick a side based on that without actually looking at what happened in that moment, okay? And that's what I want to talk about here. I want to talk about this from a factual point of view, not to try and push a political agenda or a biased point of view. I want to look at what happened that night, and there's plenty of evidence. There's multiple videos showing what happened from multiple angles during the course with which all 3 people who were shot were shot. We can see it very, very clearly, plain as day, but there's so much being pushed around, misinformation on both sides in my opinion, that I think it's important to talk about what actually happened based on the facts. Basically what we have here is a 17-year-old kid who was given an AR-15 by someone. As of this point, we don't know who that was. Was that a parent, another family member, a friend, whoever? And he was brought out to a violent situation, handed an AR-15, told to protect an area with the rest of the individuals, which from what I can tell is about 15 other people who all showed up armed to protect a row of businesses, including a car lot, a gas station, and several other businesses during the middle of these riots and these protests. And in my opinion, just from a factual point of view, that was wrong right off the bat, okay? I don't know who thought it was a good idea to bring a 17-year-old kid out to this situation and then hand him an AR-15, which from everything I'm reading about Wisconsin law, he was not allowed to be in possession of that rifle openly. He is allowed to be in possession of that rifle if he was going to a range or he was going hunting and he's with an adult and that kind of thing, but to just by himself open carry a rifle, which is legal in Wisconsin, but you're supposed to be 18 years old to be able to open carry a rifle in Wisconsin. So right off the bat, you've got a bad situation, you've got an illegal situation, and you've got, in my opinion, a moral situation where I certainly wouldn't have sent my 17-year-old kid off with an AR-15 to guard a gas station in the middle of a bunch of riots. I just wouldn't have done that. I don't think that was responsible. That being said, you may feel differently. That's fine. Then we have the situation of earlier in the night, clearly as recorded on video. The first individual that was shot by Kyle earlier in the evening had been threatening him directly, using the N-word, saying, "Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me," and being very aggressive, trying to get up in this kid's face. This, of course, was the 36-year-old whose name at the moment escapes me, who got shot in the head by Kyle later on in the evening. Now, later on, as things progress, at some point, Kyle is no longer, it appears, with any of the other people in the militia. And that man, again, 36-year-old, who had been threatening him earlier in the evening, has a white plastic bag with something, we don't know what, but something that's hefty in it. He throws the bag at him while chasing him across a parking lot. Now that's one of the misconceptions that's been going around. People are saying that he threw a Molotov cocktail at him. No, he didn't. You can very clearly, if you watch the video from earlier, when he was holding this white plastic bag with something in it, we don't know what, something with some sort of heft to it, while he was threatening Kyle and several other people. And you can clearly see him, he throws that at the kid, at Kyle, while he's chasing him across a parking lot. Okay, whatever was in that, we don't know. Obviously, it was something that was very heavy. You could tell by the way this white plastic bag flew through the air. It was something that was fairly heavy, and he was using it as a weapon in that moment. He threw it. He didn't throw it far enough. It didn't hit Kyle. Kyle continues to run between a couple of cars. This guy actually catches up with him just as Kyle turns around and shoots. Now, that guy got shot in the head. I think this was probably an instance where I don't think this was a clear shooting, i.e. he didn't turn around, take aim, and point the gun. He turned around and quickly fired. Because I believe that anybody who was in that situation, if you had time to turn around and aim, you would probably shoot somebody center mass somewhere. That's the place you're automatically probably going to go. The fact that he was shot at an upward angle in the side of his head means that I think Kyle just turned around really quickly and fired at an upward angle, just trying to defend himself. He was scared in that moment. And I do believe that was 100% justified. That's my personal opinion. But I think it's very difficult to argue with that. He was being chased. He was trying to run away from the situation. Okay? He was trying to remove himself from this situation while a grown man, a 36-year-old, is trying to physically attack him. Stupid on the part of the 36-year-old, given that this kid had an AR-15. And honestly, while I'm not going to sit there and ever be happy that somebody's dead, at least most of the time, you know, he, as the saying goes, played stupid games, wins stupid prizes. He was openly chasing and attacking a guy who was carrying an AR-15. I mean, you can say he got what he deserved. I just think that he, well, honestly, the situation ended the way you would expect it to end. Simple as that. Now, next thing you know, everybody starts trying to chase this kid as he's actually on the phone. And what we believe what he was trying to do was call 911. He circles around the car after he shot the guy, comes back, picks up the phone. At one point you see him kind of grab towards his med kit bag, which is the reason he was there that night. He said he was there to render medical aid to anybody who needed it, but he was carrying an AR-15 for protection. He said this earlier in the evening on a video that somebody had recorded. But then people start to rush him, and so he runs. Then we flash forward to the video where he's running down the street. People are chasing him, attacking him. Somebody comes up behind him and punches him and knocks him to the ground. Okay? At that point, as he's turning around, trying to get back up, another person comes and attacks him and goes to hit him with a skateboard. He fires, hits that person square in the chest. That person later on goes on and dies. Then another person comes up to him holding a firearm. Okay? Very clearly, somebody rushes him right after he shoots the person with the skateboard, holding a firearm, coming at him with a gun. He shoots randomly at that person, hits that person in the arm, that person backs away while still holding the gun, goes to the ground holding his arm. Kyle gets up, makes his way to police officers, constantly walking towards the cops, doing this while he's got his rifle slung across him in a single point sling. Doing this, walking towards the cops. At one point the cops back off, start yelling at him to get out of the road. You can hear it over the loudspeaker, and then the video shuts down. So basically what you've got is you've got a guy who this entire time was running away from the people that were attacking him. The entire time. Only fired shots that hit people 3 times, although he did fire at one point. He fires up in the air 3 shots to try and get people to back away from him after he shoots the first individual. But he shoots 3 people, and only when he is being physically attacked. Once by a man who threw something at him, once by another person who hit him with a skateboard, and once by a person who's approaching him with a handgun in hand coming at this 17-year-old kid. In all 3 instances, I do personally believe myself, regardless of what you think, I believe was absolutely 100% justified. Never mind the fact that I think he shouldn't have been in this situation in the first place. There should not have been a 17-year-old kid open carrying an AR-15 anyway, but he was just defending himself. And then you see him try to turn himself in, or not turn himself in really, but go to the police, who actually back up away from him and tell him to get out of the street. Then there's this whole fugitive thing. Oh, he fled the state after this happened. No. He went 30 minutes away to his house, which is just on the other side of the border in Illinois, across from Wisconsin. This is a community that's very tight-knit, and it's a border community. Okay, it's right there on the border between Wisconsin and Illinois. He just went to his house 30 minutes away after the police would not talk to him. He literally, with his hands up, walked towards a police car after having called the police earlier in the evening about what was going on. And the police just continued to tell him over the loudspeaker to get out of the street. I think this kid tried to do the right thing. I don't think this kid should have been in this situation in the first place, but he tried to do the right thing. I don't think this is a situation where he should be charged with first-degree murder. And another thing I do want to discuss while we're talking about this is this idea that the first guy that he shot in the head was a pedophile. This, of course, is another misconception that is floating around the internet. If you actually look at the police report and what he was charged with, this guy, again, I don't remember his name, this year, when he died, 2020, was 36 years old. When he was convicted of sexual misconduct with a minor, it was in 2002, 18 years ago, when he would have been 18 years old. Now, I don't know the facts of that particular case, but more than likely, chances are, because it does happen a lot in this country, what you have is a situation where an 18-year-old was dating a girl that was younger than him, that was underage, maybe she was 15 years old, and for whatever reason, the parents called the cops, or somebody called the cops on them and got him in trouble because they didn't like him, maybe he was an asshole, I don't know, okay? Certainly from the video, at 36 years old, he certainly comes across as an asshole. But for whatever reason, you've got an 18-year-old kid who was charged with sexual misconduct with a minor. Now, again, we don't know all the details of that, but more than likely, it was because he was just dating a younger girl that was probably 3 or 4 years younger than him. You can say that's wrong, you can say it's messed up, you can say the parents probably did something right by calling the cops on him, whatever you want to say. Does that make him a pedophile? Chances are, no. Okay, so this is why I say I want to talk about this from a truthful perspective. Watch the videos. Understand what people are saying about the people that are involved in this situation. In my opinion, Kyle should not have been there with an AR-15 as a 17-year-old kid. Whoever made that decision and allowed him to go, whatever parent or uncle or whatever allowed him to be in that situation, I think made a grave mistake. And now their kid, or this kid, is potentially facing murder 1 charges because of this mistake. It was incredibly irresponsible of whatever adult allowed him to be there. That being said, this is, in my mind, a clear-cut case of self-defense. This kid multiple times tried to get away from the people that were attacking him. He only fired after being physically assaulted by multiple people, period. That's what it basically breaks down to. So, that's what I had to say. I just wanted to put that stuff out there. If you've got any questions, comments, you want to have a discussion about this, please leave that stuff down below, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks.